Hello everyone, welcome to the lesson on the slope formula. So we've learned how to do slope from a graph. We know that it is rise over run. Now we're going to learn how to use a formula in case we're asked to do things with tables or with ordered pairs. So we know rise over run. We know that's the same as change in y over change in x. And when I want to find the change in a value, I say, okay, I'm going to take the values and I'm going to subtract them. So what we actually do for change in y is we just take two y values, we subtract them. So the way we write that is y2 minus y1. The 2 and the 1 are just there so that you know there's two different y values going on. Change in x, same thing, we're just going to subtract x values. So I write that as x2 minus x1. Again, just subtracting my values. The reason for the 2's here and the 1's here are just saying, hey, these two values go together, these two values go together. They're in the same spot on my graph, or my table, or my ordered pair. And we'll see what that looks like in a second. So, I have a table here. I have my x values, I have my y values. I want to use my formula to find my slope. So, first thing I do is I pick some numbers that I want to use. So let's say I want to use these numbers and these numbers. It really doesn't matter. You can pick any of the numbers on the table. I'm going to say, okay, 15 is going to be one of my y values, so I'm going to take 15 here. And to figure out my change in my y values, I just take 15, subtract 9. Now I'm going to do the same thing with my x values. The trick here is, since I picked 15 first, I have to start with 4. So I have to do 4 minus 2. I do some math here. 15 minus 9 is 6. 4 minus 2 is 2. I have 6 over 2. I'm going to simplify that slope so it's in my most reduced form. So I get 3 over 1, just divided top and bottom by 3, and then I get 3 as my answer. So 3 over 1 or 3 is fine. And that's your slope. Let's try another one here. Slope formula. Now personally, I don't want to use decimals if I have whole numbers available. So I'm not going to pick the number with the decimal. I'm just going to pick whole numbers. It makes it a lot easier. So first y value, I like to take the bigger one just so when I subtract, it's for sure positive. So I do 6 minus 5. Since I picked 6 first for my y, I'm going to take 2 first for my x. 2 minus 0. 6 minus 5 is 1. 2 minus 0 is 2. My slope is 1/2. Biggest mistake I see people make here is they try to flip the fraction around and have your x's on top. Y's always have to be on top for your slope. That's why I have my 6 and 5 on top. So just make sure you read your table carefully and you start with your y values. Next up, we have points. So you can also find the slope between 2 points. So remember, your first number is x, second number is y. First number is x, second number is y. So I'm going to do the same exact thing for this. Formula. Grab my y values first. I'm going to take 7. I'm going to subtract 4. I did it that way because I know that's going to get me a positive value. Having a negative value for your slope is fine. I just like positive numbers better, so I'm going to try to get those as much as possible. Now when I go pick my x's, I have to pick 1 first because I picked 7 first. So my x's, I am actually going to have a negative on the bottom, and that's okay. Sometimes we're going to get negative numbers, but if we can avoid them, we'll avoid them. 7 minus 4 is 3. 1 minus 2 is negative 1. So your slope is 3 over negative 1, or you could write that as just negative 3, since 3 divided by negative 1 is negative 3. I write one more with the formula. I'm going to label my x's. I'm going to label my y's. I'm going to take 2 y values, subtract them. I have negative 2 minus negative 2. I'm going to take my my x values, subtract them. 3 minus negative 1. Common mistake I also see people make is dropping that second negative sign. So it's 3, and then we're subtracting, and this number is a negative 1, so I should have minus a negative here. If I do some keep, change, keep negative 2 the same. You can't really see that color. Keep negative 2 the same. Change minus to plus. Change negative 2 to positive. I have negative 2 plus 2, which does work out to give me 0, which is fine. We can have 0 for a slope. Bottom, same idea. Keep 3 the same. change, minus to plus, change, negative to positive. 3 plus 1 is 4. So I have 0 over 4, which just ends up being 0. I can have a slope of 0, that's fine. That really just means if I graphed it, it'd be a flat line like that. Alright, I'm going to go to the next page, and we're going to see another way that we can approach this as well. So what's another option? We can do the same idea, just without writing a formula out. So it says, find how much x and y are changing by each time. So again, I'm going to label these with x's and y's just so I remember which is which. If I start at y, and I say, okay, I'm going from 13 to 10. How much is that changing by? I changed by 3, but I went down. So that means it's a negative 3. And then if I do my x's, I am starting at 12, and I'm going to 20. That means I went up, so it's positive, and I went up 8, so it's positive 8. So then, instead of writing all my subtraction down in my formula, I can just say, okay, I changed by negative 3 for my y's, 8 for my x's. My fraction should be negative 3 over 8. That can't be reduced, so I'm just going to leave that exactly how it is. That's also an option for these types of questions. Same thing with the table. I say, okay, y is changing by 8 to 6. That means I went down 2. X is going from 5 to 10. That means I went up 5. So if I do y over x, I have negative 2 over 5. Okay? We're going to do a couple practice questions. I do want you to try for these first 2 questions, use the formula. For the next 2 questions, use what we just did, find the change in x and y, and then it's up to you for the rest of the questions, whatever you want to do. So 7 through 15, please. Start questions if you're interested. Again, 7 and 8, use the formula. 9 and 10, use the way we just talked about. 11 through 15, do whichever way you're more comfortable with. Go ahead and pause the video and do that now. Alright, here's your answers. Make sure you do the work as well, but we can check our answers on here. Next page. Here's our answers on the next page. Pause the video if you need to look a little bit longer. If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, have a great day.